Up 8, February 27th, Chasing Points Podcast 125. It's Sam, Brandon, and Harrison here, mixing it up today. Happy Monday if you're watching on YouTube, and Tuesday morning if you're listening on, wherever you listen to our podcast. Thanks for listening. What's up, guys? How we doing? What's new?
Brandon?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Brandon's in protest today, so
not much for the pleasantries today, I see.
Yeah.
Are you crankier than last week, or like the same or lower?
No, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Okay, so higher, more
minimal input here from Hayes. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, a lot's going on in the world of sports, and we're here to cover it for you.
Is there a lot going on here in sports?
We're gonna figure that out right now. I guess we're gonna just, as you can see, this one's off the rails way before we even hit record. So here we are. Hey guys, what do you want to talk about? There's a lot of controversy going on in college basketball.
I think we should actually touch. We should touch first on what is the worst sporting time, because right now is an interesting one, and then like late July is bad. Yeah. I'm curious what you guys think.
I think the hangover of not having football and adjusting to basketball, and especially after a pretty weak All-Star game, and then I'm not much for college basketball. I do try, so I would say this time is kind of like until baseball starts for me. But yeah, I would go with right now. We're in it.
I'd probably have to say July, but right now is pretty bad too. As to Sam's point, the transition from football every Sunday, or 4 to 5 days a damn week, to now going back to basketball, which is perfectly fine because you're starting to see some good basketball happen, being that we're in the second half, and then we're also inching closer to March Madness. So, I mean, once that happens, I think the energy of sports will kind of just raise back up again. And then obviously we have spring training that's going on right now too, which is for those that are deep in like fantasy baseball, Sam and his crew and stuff like that, and people that are getting ready for their drafts and whatnot and keeper leagues. Like, this is a big time to watch what's going on there. So I really feel like it just depends on the group or you as an individual, honestly, of what you really like. Some people are huge fans of baseball. Some people are huge fans of basketball, and vice versa. So it really depends.
All right. That answers my question.
Yeah.
Well, great question. Question of the day.
How about for you? You didn't even answer. You didn't answer.
No, it's definitely July for me. I mean, this obviously it's an odd week where there's really not a lot going on. But I think, once you get to, the college basketball conference tournaments for me, and then March Madness, it's just a little bit of a break here between, obviously what you guys said, football and basketball really kicking up. But July is terrible. I mean, I like baseball. I watch the Yankees religiously. That's about it. I don't really dive into any National League games or much else other than the Yankees. So that gets me through the day to day. But otherwise, sporting wise, it's just kind of dead.
Yeah, August is rough too because football football's in front of us, but it's not live. So it's kind of like you're just surviving off of baseball, and if you root for a team that's out of it or just not as interested in baseball, then you're looking for other things to do. But
yeah, it's been a rough few years for me when it comes to that, because the Yankees have been doing absolutely nothing, and this year, you know how much hope I have in this team, so we'll see where it
the Yankees need to win Hayes back is basically the
moves they did this offseason were really good. I still believe we need more pitching, but I'm
a Juan Soto super fan. I just watching every spring training at bat. He's my new favorite player. He looks so good.
Everybody
excited.
seems hyped. The vibe looks good. Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Twitter is very interesting when it comes to Juan Soto, so it's just intriguing to see what's going on. Because now he's in New York media, so it's different from all the media he's ever endured before. So
yeah. Even Washington winning a World Series, he did not come close to the coverage that
no,
he even experienced just in day 2 of spring training games.
yeah.
So yeah, there's that. I guess let's start on the hardwood, as they will.
All right.
The big controversy in the NCAA. I'd love to get your takes on it because we have not really talked about, even offline, any of these topics. So we'll see how this conversation goes. But Wake Forest hosted Duke over the weekend, and Wake Forest won. I didn't watch the game. I'm not going to pretend like I watched the game, but I did see what happened after.
I didn't either.
Was it a close game? I'm assuming, because you only storm a court when like an unprecedented win happens or a big win. I don't know if it was like a last minute thing. Part of my ignorance here. Maybe Harrison can fill us in here. But
obviously the court storming thing has been happening, frequently as of late, as we get some kind of top matchups against top teams and upsets. It's more so now. Obviously, we had the Caitlin Clark incident where she got hit by a fan.
Yep.
But I have rules for court storming, and not a lot of these rules are being followed. Like, I feel like you should only court storm if you beat a number one and you're outside the top 25. Otherwise, in conference games like Wake Forest and Duke, which happens every year, like why are we storming the court? I just don't quite understand that. I'm going to bring music into this because for me, as a avid concert goer and seeing how there's at times, like, I don't go to rock concerts where there's mosh pits, but if you go to a Travis Scott show, there is bound to be a moving mosh pit. And I'm using that reference because that is what happens. The crowd pushes up, the crowd moves, and there's certain etiquette and courtesies that you're supposed to have when you're at a concert. Understanding who's by you. In that incident, there was kids that were hurt, lives that were lost, people that were trampled, so on and so forth. I feel it's okay to storm the court because it's a part of college basketball tradition, but understanding, if you're going to do that there's players trying to get off the court, and stop trying to rush over people, and understand if somebody ends up falling, somebody ends up on the ground, that could be life or death, honestly, because there is a multitude of people that are running, not thinking about it, and you're stomping on somebody's extremities, and that's not good. Watching what happened to Caitlin Clark, watching what happened to this young man. They were talking about it on what's the thing on ESPN? I can't even think of it. The first day.
No, the sports where they sit there and all the writers talk.
Okay.
But whatever, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, they were
around the horn.
Around the horn.
No, it's similar to that. It's by
Sports Reporters.
Jeremy Chef or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Outside the Lines.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
There we go. Got it. Got it.
I knew one of you were going to get it for me. But they were sitting there and talking about it. They showed like a whole history of it, and they flashed back, and this one player literally got tackled by a guy full blown. He knew what he was doing. He ran to him, scooped him up, tackled him type thing. There was a player that lost his ability to walk based on his injuries from that. So again, we haven't seen it to that magnitude in recent memory, but it could get bad. It's just have common decency and understand that there's people in there that aren't suitable to be able to withstand being trampled. Like, nobody wants that. So yeah, I just think it's just being aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because it's something that's happened forever, and it's kind of like been grandfathered into all of the, added security measures and things that have, you'd hope have been added to live events in the coming years, right? So it's kind of like one of these things that's, it's still permitted. I don't really, not really going to a school where, I did go to a D1 basketball school, but I don't really recall a time where we ever stormed the court. But it's just kind of just something that happens. But I agree with you. I mean, if these legacy schools, these big programs, they shouldn't be storming the court because they expect to win, right? Like it's one of these things I haven't followed Wake Forest since like Chris Paul went there, right? So like I can't, I don't know, but clearly they didn't expect to beat Duke, and regardless of where that program is now in comparison to its heyday or even just recent memory, it's still Duke. I understand that, but yeah, I don't want to be too much like revisionist, kind of like tackling this like, well, we need to ban it. Clearly it needs to be changed because people are getting hurt, and not only this guy from Duke got hurt. We mentioned Caitlin Clark, who's the most one of the most dynamic female athletes in sports and in recent memory there too. So I don't really know what you can do, because it just kind of feels like regardless you're taking away a part of the game, but also I think we just need to be smarter about how we execute it, if you will. But
I mean, I believe there's ways that you can go about it, because if you look at the national football game or a national football championship game, you don't see fans storming the field, right?
Yeah,
that doesn't happen. And I know it's a court is way more condensed than in a football arena or whatnot. But if you're able to do that and stop people from coming onto the field outside of obviously the families and staff, why can't you do that in an indoor court, right? So Jay Billis was saying that the universities looked at the analytics and they're basically told to allow people just to come in because it would be easier. So Jay Billis went on to say, well, okay, so when they all come onto the court, then everybody's on the court, you detain them at that point, and it'll stop it from happening again going forward. Now, obviously, that's a bit extreme, whatnot. I think it's also hilarious that he said that. But I believe there's an easy way of doing it, because a lot of people that are rushing the court are students. So there's a lot on the line for the students. So there's easy way of doing, but that's to the point of what this conversation is. I don't think they care to stop it because it's a moment for the university. It's something to use in the highlight reels. Harrison can speak to it. It's something that you would put in your opening intro before they come out, that everybody jumping around. It adds to the history of the team, regardless if it was a shitty season or not. It's just something that it's a moment that you can add and look back to.
Yeah, I agree with your take, Case. It's more like just like everything in life, like in moderation, or just be cautious or courteous to those around you. I think we've lost that a lot as a society, and it's kind of shown a little bit now recently with some of these incidents of like, hey, like just be aware. Like, you can come on the court, you can rush the court, but just be knowledgeable about the things that are happening around you, and the dangers that do exist when you are rushing a lot of people. Like you said, like, yeah, I'm a college administrator, and we have a big game coming up Friday, and we're supposed to have a packed student section. Would this warrant rushing the court? No, it's an in-conference opponent, not ranked. But if it was to happen in the future, you don't want to take away those moments. Those moments are very important to students. They're memorable. They're important to the institution. But yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, I think it's even, we referenced football a little earlier. It's been a while since I've seen that even happen on a football field, right? I'm tearing down the goalposts and doing all of that as well. But yeah, there just needs to be a way to do the safer. I don't, from what I hear, and again, didn't follow this story, bit by bit here, but there are some conferences that have regulations regarding
SEC.
this. There's some that don't. And, I think just making a change with just safety in mind is important. Clearly losing a game in the, final seconds here, the players should not, the first thing they think of is, I need the losing team. I need to run off the court before I get trampled. There should be some decency there, but
the SEC banned it. It's like $100,000 fine to the school. And I think recently, it was Kentucky or Auburn, one of them stormed and they had to pay the fine. So they straight out banned it.
It's what's crazy to me is Um, you're watching this, and it's screams entitlement to me from the fans, right? It's my team. I root for this team. I can do what I want. I can do what I mean. And what I'm saying by this, I'm even looking beyond the court. When we watch these teams win national championships or they win Super Bowls and so on and so forth, what are fans doing in the streets? They're flipping cars. They're burning shit down. They're doing all this stuff. And it's just like, what does that do for your team? You know what I mean? Like, what does that do for anything on your fan base to like really highlight what you do? It just makes you look like idiots, honestly. So I really think people need to look. I understand you're passionate. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these games, as Kylo is spinning around in the back. Spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these games. I understand you're fully invested in this. You have a bunch of gear in your closet. Great. You got some vintage gear from your grandfather's grandfather and all that stuff. But that does not allow you to just do what you want freely. And Will, my hat is magenta. So just so you know, Will asked what color my hat is. So, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
Magenta hat.
You know who wouldn't rush the court? Kylo.
He wouldn't. Now, actually, that's a lie. He would, because he loves people, so he would absolutely rush the court and be looking at everybody like somebody pet me, and then he would probably just run off.
I need attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So exactly. Should let dogs rush the court only, just animals. That'd be adorable.
I mean, it is kind of a concerning thing to know that these like part-time security guards, whether it's CSC or wherever, these other, they hold no chance, right? Like you could line 100 of them up around the perimeter of a basketball court, and they're probably still gonna get trampled. So if you do storm a NCAA court, like, be smart about it, guys. What are we gonna do here? But speaking of NCAA, and I did see this, I guess, conversation or just remarks go viral. It was from, you referenced Jay Billis, when they were talking about expanding the field of, I guess, 68 to, an ungodly number. What was it, like 90 something? I saw like 88, 96 or whatever. Like, I just want to get your thoughts on that too, because it just, I completely agree with Jay here. It's asinine. It's I think you need to, I get the money involved, and I get that all of these teams want their part of, the opportunity. And even though, we do see Cinderella stories and higher seeds or, lower seeds in this regard, make their way through the bracket and whatnot. But you kind of got to just win to be there. And
Sam,
all of this
you're making this too long. The answer from all three of us, I'm answering from all of us, is no. Leave March Madness the hell alone. It is fine the way it is. I understand there's so much money to be made, which is why we got the college football playoffs. Keep expanding, and I guarantee in some point in time we're gonna have every single team in college football playing for the national championship at one point. Leave it alone. Just leave it alone. March Madness is fine the way it is.
No, I agree. I mean, you even look at these bubble teams, right? And even if we were to just put the bubble teams in, there's still going to be more bubble teams. It's always going to expand. And I just, I don't really care to see like the football playoff expand too much, because it's already, you get in these conversations where like, okay, well, if we did put Florida State in, it probably just wouldn't, it just wouldn't be a great matchup anyway. And
but I think the college football, this expansion that is coming, I'm okay with this. But if they, what they're going to do eventually, they're going to look at it again and they're going to revise and potentially expand it beyond that. I think this extension is fine. I think that is going to be okay, because then we can have the conversation and we can sit on the podcast and be like, all right, so Florida State was on the bubble, blah, blah, blah. They went in and they got absolutely obliterated. Now we don't have to talk about you anymore because you were in there, you had a chance, and you had to do that. So again, there's going to be people, as you said, Sam, that are going to be on that bubble, the cusp of trying to get in, and there's always going to be somebody complaining.
It'll just change the conversation to, like, instead of the 4th and 5th team, it's the 12th and 13th. I think we're in a good place right now. I mean, obviously, the last couple, probably 10 years now, when they expanded from 64 to 68 to get that first 4 games in, those are fun, and it gives a good opportunity for a mid-major to get a win. But I think we're at a good number, and you got to think of like the trickle down that would happen because of this. You know, I'm obviously at a small mid-major college, and our league is one bid, so our conference championship means so much because if you don't win that, you're not in.
Yep.
But that's the intriguing part about it. Would I love for, you know, our whole season not to ride on one game? Yeah, that'd be nice. But selfishly, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But overall, like for the fan, I think it's in a great spot right now, and expanding even further just waters down the regular season, kind of like how the NBA is now. The regular season is watered down because it's 82 games long and half the teams get in. So it's about the journey. It's about getting there. It's not about, yes, obviously the money is massive and they'll make a ton more money if they let in 96 teams as opposed to 68. But that's not what I want as a fan. Like, it has to mean something during the year. So what you do during the year has to matter.
Agreed. Well said.
Beautiful. Love it. I guess other news, because we can't not talk about football, some franchise tags or some rumblings coming out. I don't know if the window is open to where you can tag guys, but some news coming out of Vegas and New York that Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, I'm looking at this now, even Tony Pollard, all who were tagged last year may become free agents this year, and the Raiders, Giants, and Cowboys, respectively, will not tag these guys.
Derrick
Henry's out of time.
Austin Eckler.
Yeah. So
a lot of names.
Basically, the whole running back committee that we heard about during last offseason that were texting each other. Yeah, pretty much all of them. All of them. Yeah.
So we're in a position now where certainly this got a lot of. We talked a lot about this as the deadlines were passing, and these guys agreed to 1-year deals or accepted the tags here. But as the cap now gets bigger and the NFL salary cap got, what was it, like 30 million more, something like that. This is going to be a really interesting offseason for the running back position, because not only, we've just mentioned some studs of the last, 5-6 years in the NFL, and then you add DeAndre Swift, AJ Dillon, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, J.K. Dobbins, Zeke, CEH, Gus Edwards to that mix as well, all pending free agents next month. It'd be a really interesting time to be a running back in the NFL, and I'm really interested to see how much of this extra salary cap does not go to this position, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, now, like you listed off that flood of names, they're probably going to cannibalize themselves as far as the money comes and who's offering what. So, yeah, it's unfortunate for the running back position that's kind of been marginalized over the years, but it's still obviously super important. Like, the Chiefs got there, not obviously because of Patrick Mahomes, but because of the running game and because of the controlling the ball that they had behind them. Same for the 49ers. So there's a lot of teams out there that should maybe, look to pivot to get some sure hands in the backfield. Obviously, getting Saquon, it would be huge for any team. He's still very, very good, and along with a lot of those names you said.
It's just really sad to see that this position is not as valued as it once was when we were growing up, right? Mm-hmm. And seeing the running backs that we saw, and I'm talking Hall of Famers, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, the Ricky Williams and Adrian Petersons, and so on and so forth, right? And now to see that it's just essentially there's only maybe 3 running backs that are kind of untouchable in this league at this point in time, and CMC is the number 1 untouchable at this point in time. It's very interesting to me to see this happen, but it makes sense as well, because there's a lot of running backs coming out of the draft, right? You're getting them young, you're getting them on rookie contracts, you don't have to spend all this money, where you can get these guys now to be a backup or a veteran presence in your locker room, and you get them for a fraction of what they're asking for at this point in time. So, I mean, for the analytics clearly for the teams are proving that we don't need to spend this much money for a running back. And I've watched the Eagles do it, and they've won Super Bowls without it, made it to Super Bowls without spending so much money and just getting a guy and paying less. They let Boobie Sanders go, and he went and did absolutely nothing with the Panthers, and he got paid ridiculous money, right? Zeke wanted to get paid, went to New England. We don't even know where Zeke is right now. So it's just it's things like that we're trying to figure out. But the money is all locked up in quarterbacks, top wide receivers, top corners, top safeties, top edge rushers, and then pretty much trenches and out. And it's not running back is like the only position that I feel just doesn't get any love.
Yeah, running back, linebacker.
There's just so much, like you said, so much talent out there, and their shelf life is super short.
Yeah,
and there's so many times where like a running back will go for however many yards, and then the next year they're unheard of because their bodies are beaten to a pulp. So
yeah, I think
it's unfortunate.
The career expectancy of that position's like, just a couple of years. I think the average NFL player is like 3 years or something like that. But even this long list of guys that I rattled off, there's 3-4 first-round picks in it. And it just, I think, Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Zeke, and CEH were all first-round picks. But a lot of these guys were, second, third-round picks. I mean, you look at like the guys like Alvin Kamara you can get in the third. Isaiah Pacheco, two-time Super Bowl champion, or two-time Super Bowl champion. He was a seventh-round pick from from Rutgers. So it's one of those things where they're kind of at the, because the position has performed so well and the undrafted or late guys perform so well, it kind of just, it hurts the top end here too. But the games, it's an important aspect to the game. It always will be. It's really interesting to see the teams that kind of, and the Patriots did this for a long time where they like pivot, like everyone else is throwing the ball around the field, like let's control the run game. Well, it works when you're winning, but when you're not and you don't have like, you can't keep up with the scoring, it's going to be a problem. And as good as these guys are, there's certainly I just don't think, even with the cap raising $30 million to a record $255 million, that I don't think running back prices are going to increase after this.
Well, also I think a part that we're not highlighting, and I think we should absolutely highlight here, is these guys' injury history. All these running backs that we've mentioned here are extremely injury prone. Saquon being at the top of that damn list, which is unfortunately, because I love Saquon to death, but he can't stay healthy. So when you're seeing that, I'm thinking as a team, I'm investing X amount of money that you want me to invest into you, which I know when you're on the field and you're consistently on the field, you're worth that. But the thing is, you haven't consistently been on the field, and it shows. It's not like I'm just pulling it out of air and saying that you don't play. The track record shows. I know you want to play, but you're hurt a quarter of the season when we need you, right? And it's a big part to put in it, because running backs do so much blocking. You have to run through the trenches or getting hit by the 300, 400-pound dudes, right? Then you got to get to the second level where you got the fast linebackers that are also strong as hell hitting you. And then you got the faster cornerbacks and safeties also trying to hit you, right? It's a little bit easier once you get to that because you're a little bit stronger than them. But still, the point stands. I will reference something that I mentioned his name earlier, Will. He said something to me a long time ago, and I thought about it. He was like, you got to think of it from this perspective. If a team is willing to allow you to walk, there's probably a reason, right? There's probably a reason that the team is just allowing you to walk, because they don't just let a CMC walk out the door unless you just can't pay, right? They don't let a Joe Burrow just walk out the door unless you can't pay him. That's the only way that it happens if you have these guys that are elite talent. So it's just what's your track record and what it is out there. And I think the injuries say a lot.
Yeah, the best ability is availability, right? Yep. And, I think the fact that these guys won't even get tagged, and the tag, I think, is around $12 million, and that's the average of the top 5 salaries of that position. So the fact that they're not even getting tagged, I don't know if it's because some of these guys were already tagged or they these teams just don't even want to spend that much on the position. And then knowing that, I mean, we just named like 10 running backs here. They're all gonna find a home somewhere.
Yeah.
And even if it's to complement a younger, more, fresh back, then that's just going to be what it is. But then you see kind of how they kind of can fall off a cliff too. Like Dalvin Cook comes to mind, right? Like the Vikings knew they didn't want to continue to pay him what they were paying him. They could get that production from Madison or other positions. He goes to the Jets, Breece Hall, they use him more. Yeah, and he didn't even get any run on a Ravens team that went to the playoffs. So, it's when they fall off the cliff and when it ends, it's abrupt. And it's really just the kind of the reaction to how good the position is. And it's sad, but it could also be looked at as, you don't want to pay a backup quarterback, but until your quarterback, tears his Achilles 4 plays into the game, then you're like, oh crap, I should have had, why don't we have a good backup quarterback? And, backup quarterbacks win games. I mean, the Colts, Gardner Minshew brought them a lot further than they would have been with, someone else. I mean, you look at your Eagles. I was just going to say, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, and then he fell off the face of the earth again.
Yep.
So it's like it's one of those things where it's not important until it's important.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just an interesting time. We'll monitor that. It looks like T. Higgins though will be tagged by the Bengals. So
smart.
He would have made a lot of teams better.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he'd be a great choice for a team like the Chiefs or something like that, who could, again use that presence. But
honestly, I think they're prolonging the inevitable. I don't think they're going to be able to do it with Chase Young's contract and then Joe Burrow's contract. I don't think they're going to be able to keep him.
Once they pay Jamar Chase, they're not going to be able to.
It's Jamar Chase.
And I think they're
about the Chase Young.
Yeah. Well, Chase Young might get some money this.
He's not getting money. He's not getting money. He's not.
He had a good playoff run. Anyway.
Hey, you might want to watch that again.
Well, it helps when when Bosa's on the other end and picking up a lot of picking up a lot of slack there. But still, that's all I got, guys. Anything you want to throw out there? What's going on? We're off the cuff today.
We're off the cuff.
That's
NBA's back, picking up.
NBA's back.
Yeah,
I have to say, guys,
Cavs are in second place somehow.
Look at that.
Bucks are looking much better. Read some stuff today about they're under Doc Rivers, the least scored amount team on the fast break. So that defense thing we were talking about, shaving off a few points a game, is paying dividends. So Bucks are back. T-Wolves and Thunder locked in for first place in the West. Nuggets right there, a game back. So a lot going on.
Warriors look old as hell.
They've been great. They've been washed. Yeah,
I was watching them against the Nuggets yesterday.
That was rough.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Clay came out hot though. I'm not even lie. Clay came out hot, but it's just like so disappointing watching Clay play because you also forget that Clay was gone for so long. Like he was gone for so long because of that major injury to him, and you can definitely tell it affected his career and his because he was a sure thing when he got the ball in his hand, and it was just unstoppable. I know they're putting a lot of coin in the Kuminga train at this point in time and hoping that he does things and whatnot, and that's great. They got rid of Jordan Poole because Lord knows what the hell he's doing down in Washington. But it's crazy to see that Steph is still producing at a high rate, but the team around him is not aging well. And you can really, really, really see it because the Nuggets at the beginning of the game looked like in the beginning, there's always a game of runs within a basketball game, as we know. Right. But at the beginning of the game, the Nuggets looked like they weren't going to do anything. And then they just end up just bashing their heads in at the end. And it was just like, okay, we're done here. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Like it's very, very interesting. And I'm also very interested in the Lakers, man. I watched them play. They have some really good pieces that they picked up last year. They picked up Dinwiddie during the trade deadline and whatnot. So they have some pieces that are just sitting around there. D'Lo has been getting more burn since post-trade deadline and whatnot. But again, everything, yes, LeBron is LeBron, but the team is supposed to go through Anthony Davis. And I still feel to this day, at this point in time, if the Lakers are going through Anthony Davis, they're not going to win. They're just not, in my opinion.
Yeah, the similarities between the Warriors and Lakers are so huge.
Yes.
I mean, you got, but also the differences too. I mean, with the Warriors, you have, a very steady coach with Steve Kerr. With the Lakers, Darvin Ham he's not a very good coach. I think the Lakers have better pieces.
Right.
I thought the window had closed on the Warriors before their last championship. So for them to get one more, when they beat the Celtics a few years ago was huge, but they're clearly on the back end of their run and their talent. And Clay hasn't been the same guy for 2 years. So they're gonna have to do something. They probably gonna have to blow it up. But I don't even know what that means for a team like that. And it's weird to see because they were obviously the dynasty of the last decade.
Yeah.
You got Steph still producing at a high level. You got LeBron still producing at a high level. But the things around them, Anthony Davis not getting any younger, and he was never very reliable to begin with.
I feel like though the Warriors, that the Nuggets game was yesterday was rough.
Yeah.
But they are.
They're in 10th.
They're in 10th place now. They've won 8 of their last 10. I mean, since Draymond came back, I feel like the team has been better. Like Clay coming off the bench is kind of cool. I mean, if he can get hot and, you're not necessarily counting on him as, a cornerstone of that offense anymore. But,
they're fine. It's just
cool.
The window is like they're just not at that top echelon, and that's what we've expected of them for so many years. So to see them in 10th and knowing they're a first to second round out, if they make it through the play-in, is interesting to watch.
Yeah.
After so long, seeing them be completely dominant.
And Sam, I do think that Clay is an integral part to their offense because he's now a part of the second unit.
Yeah.
And they're missing a big piece of that second unit, which is Chris Paul,
right?
Which is due to come back to and see how that works together because now they're starting to get healthier. Pieces starting to come together, and they have that experience. We all know the experience means a lot. So I still feel they'll be around, but I'm telling you right now, these young teams out there, these young pups out here in the West, it's just like, we don't care what you won before. We're not scared of you. We're going to show you every single time you play us that you're not going to win this.
Well, it's just a product of like what they created.
Yeah.
So obviously to stop them, you needed length at every position.
Mm-hmm.
You need 6-7 guards all up and down the floor. You need size up front, and they just don't have size anymore.
No,
like Draymond is their size.
Have in spades, right? I mean,
Nuggets have size.
Aaron
Rockets
Gordon
have size. Timberwolves have size.
Yep.
All these teams have size, and they just don't have it anymore. And they can only look at themselves to blame because the league said, "All right, we can't stop you shooting.
Correct.
At the clip you're shooting, so we're just gonna have to get 6-7 rangy small forwards to guard Steph and Clay, and then see how it shakes out."
Yeah.
By the way, Braids Aaron Gordon is better than Caesar Eric Gordon. I don't care what it says.
All right.
He's a monster. He's the X factor.
He really is, and it's crazy to see that he was tucked away in Orlando for so long, and he was essentially doing his thing, but it wasn't. You're in Orlando. You just basically go there to die, and he got out, and he's showing exactly what it is. So yeah, I
have to admit, and we probably said it. I probably said it when the trade happened to Denver. I'm like, oh, all right. The talent is there, but I just kind of always looked at Aaron Gordon as what we just said, the best player on a really bad team, and just more of a guy who will create his own play, like in, driving to the basket kind of thing. And he is just the way they use his size, and he can play off of, obviously the whole team runs through Joker, but even just the length that this team has, and they can put Aaron Gordon on. You just mentioned putting small forwards and power forwards on these shooters, and it's it give these guys fits. So that's where I was wrong, totally wrong on Aaron.
That's why we all have them pretty much in the I did. I can't remember if you guys did, but yeah, there's not many teams that can match up with them at all. Like they're going to be beating them 4 times in the playoffs. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 things, Sam, to that. One, how many Orlando Magic games did you watch?
I
guarantee,
not a lot.
Just like me and like Harrison, not much. Outside of Orlando Magic fans, you don't really watch it. But he was always uber athletic. We obviously saw that with the dunk contest and whatnot.
Clearly.
But he could score. He was score, and he's a lanky guy. So he's able to do those things. But what they built together, it just everything, all the pieces they added in Denver is just perfect to complement your star player. But they all complement each other very, very well. And the key piece that, as we talked about injuries with Klay Thompson, key piece was Jamal Murray. Yeah. Jamal Murray, we were waiting for so many years, like, if Jamal Murray is healthy, this team could do this, and he was finally healthy, and what'd they do, right? So now, obviously, he just came back from, he just had this little weird situation on the court the other day, but he was able to play last night, and he's good. If he continues to be able to stay healthy, it's going to be hard to beat that team again. It really just is.
Yeah, they're rolling. Just like you said, the maturation of Aaron Gordon is crazy. I mean, watching him in Arizona, he was more of a 2-guard, 3-guard. Yeah. Then he gets to the NBA, puts some size on, then he turns into like more of a power forward. Mm-hmm. And now they just use him as kind of everything, and that's what you need now. Different rangy guys all over the court that can complement your best player, which is Jokic. So they have it. Yeah, their window is right now, and let's see how many championships they can win during it.
Yeah, and the selfishness or lack thereof of a guy like that, where he was, the best player on that team, aside from who was the center they traded, the Vucevic, right?
Vucevic, yeah.
Aside from him, like the best player on that team, and here you come into, this is before Denver even won they made it pretty far in the playoffs, but that was it. And now you just, okay, this is my role. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to complement the best player in basketball, and I'm going to do what I need to do to win. And like that's it's so important.
So funny like with the Magic just keep drafting really good talent.
They do.
You got Paulo. You got Franz Wagner, who's supremely underrated. He's another one of those guys that I could see. He leaves the Magic, or they decide to trade him away for some reason, and he ends up on a team. And he's that 3rd or 4th guy. Yeah. They have a ton of those guys. They just don't seem to have the right mix at the right time or the team culture to do it. But they draft really well.
I feel like the state of Florida's professional teams all do this. Because the Jags were doing the same thing. They were drafting really, really good talent. And they were letting other teams walk out the door.
Yeah, cultivating for other teams. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's their farm systems for other teams over and over again. And it's ridiculous. Like the Buccaneers, they every year they draft a defensive guy. You're just like, who the hell? How is this guy doing this? And it continues to happen over and over again. So I don't know. There's something in the water with Florida. Well, yeah, we clearly know something in the water with Florida. Period. So let me just stop there. But just what they're doing now there when it comes to drafting players is great. It's just keeping them.
There's so much.
Know what it is. I just don't know what it is. But I mean, now things are turning around, at least with the Jags. I can't speak for the other teams, though.
Well, even like I'll speak for baseball. When the Rays lock in and they trade for a post-hype kind of prospect, I just got Ryan Pepio from the Dodgers for Tyler Glasnow. It's like, okay, you don't know who Ryan Pepio is right now, guys, but if he can stay healthy, and you will know who Ryan Pepio is. And it's like one of these things where it's like the other team that does this is the Dodgers, and it's ironic because Andrew Friedman now runs the Dodgers, and he used to run the Rays when the Rays had no money. So now you're looking at the best organization in baseball analytically, and it's run by a former Tampa Bay Ray executive. So it's, now they have money and can just, F you to everybody else around them. But when those two teams lock onto a player and get them, like, oh, what are they doing here? And you can... it's interesting there, but yeah, the Magic just Suggs. We mentioned Paulo and Franz Anthony Black. Like there's so many good, especially at the guard position. There's so many good young talent there that it's like, how is this all going to work? And I'm glad to see like a similar team, as the Thunder, at least, where they just were collecting assets for so long. And then, the whole thing was like, okay, if we can get one big star to come here and mold everything around it, it'll work. But SGA ended up, again, came to this team and has developed into a top player in this league. And now you're finding guys to complement around him. And it's been fun to watch.
To be fair, the Thunder did have 3 future Hall of Famers.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
just to be fair, to put it in context for people, they did draft 3 future Hall of Famers that all left their team.
And
because they could not be the Warriors, as Harrison was just stating, because of their length. And then one of them went and joined the Warriors. So, 3 times.
It's just weird. NBA windows are so weird. They're so small.
Yeah.
They're so small. You got to hit right. You have to find that superstar. The Thunder hit right with SGA, and then everyone around him just looks so much better. The Magic hit right on someone else, but who knows? The timing of it is all off. And Paolo's on his not his rookie deal, and Franz is not on his rookie deal. So it's all tricky.
Yeah. Just like big game winner by Paolo last night. That was fun.
Yeah, traveled, but it's fine.
Yeah. Hey. Whatever.
They're not going to call that there. That's fine. It's all good.
It's the Pistons. It's like, yeah. But yeah, no, that's anything else, guys? What are you looking forward to this week? What's going on?
Ooh.
We used to ask this question. We kind of got away from it.
I don't know. Nothing really. It is this week. The week.
Yeah,
it's not a good week.
Well,
yeah. Well, Brandon?
Just watching some more spring training. And
okay. It's been fun.
Seeing what's,
Baby Bombers. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Brandon and I have been invested in this.
Shout out the Yankees Instagram. That thing is they're pumping content.
They are. They're smart. They know.
I'm in love. I love Juan Soto. We said it up top, but I'm in.
Yep.
I'm fully in. Come on,
dude.
So I'm just very happy to see the young kids that I've gotten the opportunity to see at our local Yankee affiliate at the Renegades. Seeing those young players there that were raking there and now are up in the bigs. The Martian, Spencer Jones, and so on and so forth. Like it makes me feel like I grew up and watched them, even though I'm older than all of them, right? But we watched them grow through the farm system and then make it to the big leagues and then get their opportunity. And it's just fun watching these young kids. There's a young kid that pitched today. He's only 19 years old. That is absolutely not going to make the roster, but he pitches for the Renegades. So we'll be able to go and see him during the summer, and then you can get to watch these guys grow. Like, that's been my favorite part of the Yankees actually growing the farm system, excuse me. So that's just been really, really fun for me. So I'm just looking forward to that and seeing what's happening with that, and watching the Bucks work their way to the finals, like I said.
Yeah. I've changed my tune on the Bucks. I feel like, and obviously they had a big weekend too, but if they can figure this out, they're going to be a problem. And
they look, because per Patrick Beverly, he told Dame to shoot the shots when he's open because the team needs to see him miss so they can get rebounds and stuff. So per Patrick Beverly,
the defensive thing is so big. Like, that transition defense is so huge, and they're so much better at it now. So like when people were like, why are they firing their coach midseason? Like, this is why. Like, their transition defense and their defense in general was just not very good, and now it's a little bit better, and they're talented, super talented.
Yeah, well, they certainly have the right clutch offensive players, and if they can figure out a defensive scheme that works for them, or at least to mitigate, some of the points up against them, then they're gonna definitely be a problem for sure. But Harrison Hayes is really invested in the Baby Bombers, as I am.
I love them.
So much fun to talk to him about, like, single A prospects that you would not think Brandon Hazelwood would be interested in. But when we traded for Juan Soto, he's like, no, through Drew Thorpe. And I'm like, I never would have thought this is happening.
Come on.
here we are.
I want it both ways. Like he said, like last year was just a doldrum. Like it was so boring until they called up their young kids.
Yeah.
And they're not going to go far, but at least you're invested in it. That's what it takes in July and August. Like, all right, we're not winning a championship, but at least, we're watching guys that we have a rooting interest in. And that's what the Yankees used to be. There was a long period of time where it hasn't been that. So I'm right with you guys. Like just, watching these guys mature and get their chance and then coming through, that's worth it to me.
It feels like, I know everybody calls the Yankees the evil empire, right? And the Yankees go out and historically, at least when we were growing up, they would go out and get all the big name free agents that they possibly could that they were able to get, right? Sure. But I think people keep forgetting that there was the core four. It was guys that came from the Yankees organization. And this is what it kind of feels like to me now is you have Judge that came out of your system that is the star of stars, right? That broke this home run record. Everybody loves this guy and so on and so forth, right? You got him. You went out and got Garrett Cole, a guy that has been a Yankees fan his whole entire life. You went out and got a guy that wants to be here, right? You bring Volpe up, who was a kid from New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, right? That is fully invested and could be the future, looking for the replacement for shortstop, right? You're bringing up all these young guys, and it feels great. But then you're also still going out and getting the Juan Sotos of the world. Like that transaction felt like going out and getting Alex Rodriguez, right? I'm not saying that they're the same level or the comparison. I'm just saying the feeling of it was like, damn, like we got a chance to actually do something now, right? So I'm invested in the fact because those moves are actually being made, especially with Cashman sitting on his thumbs for the last 5 years. So I'm very, very happy with what's actually happening. So.
Well, I feel just in the last couple days that our new assistant general manager, Aaron Judge, will keep Juan Soto in pinstripes. I have this really good feeling about it, and like it seems like the vibe's up. I mean, I don't love Alex Verdugo, but everyone seems to really love him, and like I know, like, as much as I've like bashed him, like months from now I'll be like, yo, this dude, like, this is the dude that you hate on the other teams, but you're glad kind of thing.
He's Patrick Beverly.
Yeah.
He's Patrick Beverly. He doesn't talk like Patrick Beverly, but he's Patrick Beverly.
Maybe a little more talented.
He's a double machine. Aaron Judge wanted him for the Yankees for quite some time.
That's what I mean.
Aaron Judge is the assistant GM for sure.
Yeah, so
for sure.
Exciting times for the Yankees.
Spencer Jones, 5 for 5. By the way,
I'm in. I'm in. I'm in here. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, that's the podcast. 125 in the books. Harrison Hayes, thanks so much for. Look at that. Gem Mint 10. Wow. Jason Dominguez, Gem Mint 10.
The Martian, love him.
Love it.
Let's go.
He keeps it by his bed at night.
I might.
I have 2 of them. I totally I hear you.
I have 2 as well. So
yeah.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, guys, thanks so much for hopping on as always. And everyone for listening. Tell your friends. Give us those 5-star reviews. They help so much. And follow us on Instagram and all of that cool stuff. Smash the like button.
There we go.
Kylo. There we go. So for Brandon and Harrison, I'm Sam. Thanks so much for listening. Till next time. Peace.
Yeah, Harrison's happening. Dewey is back in New York, and the Liberty are going to win a championship. That's all I'm going to say. Goodbye.
Okay.